series. All right, Pacers and Celtics, an important game for both of these teams. If the Pacers want to stand, they need a win today. Here's the game.
Well, Kevin, thanks a lot, and that's an excellent point because this Indiana Pacers team could fall down 3 games to 1, and it is extremely different when you're trying to come back. Let's take a look at the Bud Light starting lineup. And Greg, when you look at some of the key players in this game, and there are several, obviously, Jamal Tinsley for Indiana is going to be a key, and Walter McCarty for Boston.
Definitely. When you talk about Jamal Tinsley, that was a big question mark, but the fact that Boston does not have a great point guard has allowed him to be more effective. 12 points, 8 assists, a 4-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. That's been huge. With Walter McCarty, Mr. Energy, he's Mr. Celtics on this team. They're 8-1 with him in the starting lineup. He's played phenomenally well in the playoffs. He's really upped his performance, and I think that's really uplifted this entire Celtics team.
And he just gave us the wink, so he's ready. Third member of our team is Doris Burke.
Our spotlight matchup features one of the best pure scorers in the league, Paul Pierce, 5th overall in scoring, but first in the league in free throws made and attempted. In Boston's 2 wins, he's averaged 16 trips to the foul line. He will face off against the best, arguably the best perimeter defender, Ron Artest, who will try to keep him off the free throw line. Game 3 saw Pierce take a season-low 8 field goals. Greg, certainly Isaiah seemed pleased that he passed more than he scored.
Well, without question, and he'd like to see more of that today because, again, he's a big cog in their offense, obviously leading them in scoring.
Underway, Ron Artest swings it to Reggie Miller. Tinsley comes to the ball, dealt right there with him. Off a screen, Artest has a look at 3, decides not to. Tinsley with the clock at 5. Trying to swing it, McCarty picks it off. And then it's 3 stolen by Ron Artest. Dish to O'Neal, and he's fouled hard. That's exactly what we talked about.
Definitely. You're not going to get any open, uncontested layups in this series, as you should not, because this is playoff basketball. There's going to be a lot of intensity out there today.
Well, we talked about the fact that this would be down 3-1 if the Pacers don't win. They've never won a playoff series when they've fallen down 2-1. So I'm telling you, 11 times it's happened, and they've lost every single time.
Well, I don't think, fortunately for the Pacers, this team is so young. I don't think they really know much about that Pacer history. These are guys that have basically all been brought in under Isaiah's regime for the most part. And let me tell you, Jermaine O'Neal, obviously Reggie Miller knows about it. He's been through a lot of wars, but the bulk of this team has not dealt with that. And again, 7-game series, important. This game, I think the most important, obviously, thus far.
Now you can hear the crowd counting to 10, basically saying Jermaine O'Neal is taking too long at the free throw line. The atmosphere here is so different than many other buildings around the nation, and especially at playoff time.
It's true. I tell you, this is the first time this year where I really felt like I wanted to be out there playing.
McCarty comes up short. O'Neal with the rebound. Ahead to Reggie Miller, loses his footing, but keeps the dribble alive. Brad Miller looking for O'Neal.
I tell you what was surprising, that Reggie Miller, not looking as confident, had an opportunity to get a 3 up there, chose not to take it. Probably they want him taking as many of those open shots as they can get him.
The tee shot is a little bit deep. Antoine Walker with the rebound. Now tries to dribble around Reggie Miller. He wants to go to the goal. A lot of hands in there. The pass down to Petit doesn't go. Tony Delk, a 3. Rattles in and out.
Well, game 3, those shots were falling early for Boston. That's why they were playing so well. So far here today, they are not.
Jermaine O'Neal emphatic with the slam there. The Boston Celtics, you see they've got 2 players with over 20, and there's very few of those around the league. And only 3 other pairs in the league, and of course the 3-point shooting. No one has taken more in season than the Celtics did. Great block by Jermaine O'Neal, and then Brad Miller running the floor, lays it off the glass.
Again, great pass by Jamal Tinsley. Again, he has a chance to be very effective in this series because the Celtics don't possess a true point guard, which I think could deter a lot of what he tries to do.
Well, they like to run a lot of stuff through Antoine Walker. He's a great passer. Pierce is as well. Fadeaway won't go. O'Neal with another rebound underneath.
Already, what we talked about, one of the keys, the energy. You see the Pacers coming out much more aggressive, much more athletic in terms of how they're getting after it on the defensive end, and they're moving the ball much better. Something else Isaiah talked about.
Absolutely. Brad Miller, open look, rattles it down, and right now, an 8-0 run to start this game for the Pacers. This is the opposite of what happened in Game 3.
And, you know, this is a critical time because typically what happens to the Celtics when they get down, they start looking for that three-pointer, and that, to me, is going to be their Achilles heel in this series. They got to try to stay away from that as much as possible. They need free throw attempts. You're going to get that with penetration. Antoine Walker, Paul Pierce both have the ability to do that.
And then some problems with the exchange there. You see Jermaine O'Neal, the only player in the East with 20 points and 10 rebounds. Only 3 guys in the league did that. And no one in the East. So he's been the dominant big man in the East throughout the season. Misses on that one and was looking for a foul. Pierce weaving his way through the Pacers. Dealt from the baseline. Tinsley got a hand on that, and that's why it came up so short.
Gotta love the defense of the Pacers early. They're contesting every shot. They're getting after. They're not giving up the second shots, which also is going to be key for them.
Tinsley swings it. Artest with a long-range 3. That was like 3 feet beyond the line. He could have stepped in a little.
3 feet beyond the line and a couple feet right of the basket as well.
Dealt with a drive. Gets it to rattle down, plus the foul.
There it is. They can't be deterred by the shot blockers. You got to continue to attack that basket. Although Jermaine O'Neal's a great shot blocker, Tony Delk jumps into him, draws the contact, gets the bucket and the free throw attempt.
That's a great point you make about jumping into him, because there's no question he was welcoming the contact.
Players, the officials know it as well. If you go in and initiate the contact with your body, the defender knows that they're going to get the call offensively. The player's going to get that call. Jermaine put his hands back, but still, they get the basket and the free throw.
And the first 3 points, then we get a foul on the floor that looks like it's going against Paul Pierce, trying to stay with Reggie Miller. Log on to NBA.com for exclusive 2003 playoff section, featuring live post-game press conferences, photo galleries, video highlights, and more. 2003 NBA playoffs. Love it live on NBA.com. Miller comes off a screen, launches a shot, and boy, Reggie Miller has struggled here in Boston. 0 for 7 in Game 3, the first time in his playoff career that he did not have a field goal.
But the one advantage that they have is this is a veteran guy who's made so many big shots in his career. He won't be deterred. They just have, as a team, have to continue to work to get him opportunities.
McCarty swings it, and then it comes around to Delp. 3-pointer's good.
Great shot, great ball movement, and they talked about the Celtics before the game. They wanted to have great ball movement, make that Pacers defense move its feet.
Artest swinging underneath. Comes up short. Doris Burke. Indiana wants to get Reggie Miller involved more.
Well, you were talking about his struggle shooting the basketball. The entire team for Indiana coming in here, the last 5 trips, as a team, they've never shot better than 41%, so all of them need to get off Reggie in particular.
That's a great point. And, you know, if you think about it, Boston's not a great defensive team, but what they do, they have good schemes. You know, they run guys at you. They try to disrupt your timing and spacing, which ultimately hinders what you want to do offensively.
Brad Miller tries to drive. Batiste steps over, but he still gets it to go down. A lot of guys looking at officials early in this game saying, where's that whistle?
It's going to be buried in their mouth. You're not going to hear a lot of whistles.
Well, Tony Delp, his second consecutive 3.
How about that supporting cast of the Celtics? You know, they had only 2 guys averaging double figures throughout the regular season. They got 5 guys averaging double figures in this series.
Delk has all 9 Celtic points here early in the game. Walter McCarty with a hand check. Picks up the foul. And the Celtics are going to be the first to go to the bench. Mark Blunt's going to come in.
This is an area where the Pacers have a huge advantage. The fact that they are much more deep in terms of their bench.
So Blount comes in. Tinsley drives, dumps it off to O'Neal. Doris, is there any problem, do you think, with Tony Batiste today?
Guys, he did not practice yesterday. In the course of the last month, they have practiced him as little as possible. He's got a very sore right knee. As much rest as they can get him, they will try. He's just playing through pain at this point.
Well, it's the playoffs. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Just play through the pain. There's plenty of time to recover after the season.
Well, there's nobody out on this floor right now not playing the pain. That's just the fact of the life of the NBA. You play 82 games regular season, 8 in the preseason, then the playoffs. there's no way you're not going to be a little banged up. And again, it's a huge drop-off for the Celtics when he goes to the bench. He's such a vital cog. Mark Blount is nowhere near the basketball player that Tony Battie is.
Now, you know that there has been a lot of physical contact in this series, but when you see the headband get knocked askew, as Brad Miller had to readjust the headband, you know that it's physical underneath.
And we're just halfway through the first quarter. It's going to be a physical game, you know, and you expect that from the Pacers. They have the reputation, but hey, let's face it. In this series, I think the Celtics have been more the aggressors on the defensive end in particular in terms of limiting the layups for the Pacers, trying to frustrate them because they are a younger team and they are more prone to have problems with adversity than, say, a veteran-oriented team like the Celtics.
Walker now working on Reggie Miller. Backs him down, swings it to McCarty. Dell, Pierce. Walker, three, good.
Great basketball. There's a mismatch there with Antoine Walker having Reggie Miller on him. Fly on that three-pointer. The ball movement gets back to him for the three.
Great try by Artest. And you just saw that the Celtics started 0 for 7. Since then, they've been 4 of 5, including 3 three-pointers. And that's their game. They spread the floor, let Antoine Walker work one-on-one, gets it on the iron, won't drop down.
Okay, even though he missed it, that's still a great look at the basket with that mismatch, having Reggie Miller on Antoine Walker.
Artest is going to hear from the crowd every time he touches the ball. I bet he gets a lot of that around the league now.
Yeah.
Miller on the floor, swings it back out to Reggie Miller. Artest, three-pointer, no good. Paul Pierce went over the big guys to get that rebound. Artest ready to D up on Pierce, swings it to Delp. Oh, nice job. Baseline, gets it up short. O'Neal with the rebound. Strickland wants to run, sees an opening, takes it right to the hole and drops it down.
Yeah, that's the next Celtic there. You know he's going to want to come out and put on a good show, show Boston what they gave up on.
Exactly. We got a timeout on the floor. As the Celtics started extremely cold, but now trail by just 5. Here on what's finally becoming a spring-like day on the Charles River. We'll get back here in a moment. Question I want to know. Have the Portland Trailblazers won a game since you played with them? Have they won a playoff game?
It's been a curse, you know. It's like the curse of the Bambino. Once I left, you know, things have gone downhill for them.
Well, we're in the right town for the curse of the Bambino. Williams, who started most of the season, now coming off the bench, comes up short on that, and O'Neal gets the rebound.
Which I think is a good move for them because he gives them some offense off the bench.
And you wonder, Doris, what the Celtics were talking about during that timeout. They started so slowly.
Well, they were talking about matching up faster, in particular Eric Strickland's drive where he went uncontested down the lane. He said, match up, find your guys early. Isaiah looked at Ron Artest in the huddle and said, no early jump shots. Reverse the basketball. You will get it back.
That's a great point, too, because one area where I think the Pacers can attack is in transition. They can control the defensive backboard, and if they get out, they got a lot of guys that can finish. They can really put a lot of pressure and hurt the Celtics there.
Tony Battie has a couple of fouls now already, and sending Jermaine O'Neal to the line. And he does take a good amount of time up there.
Well, a lot of guys do. You know, at the end of the day, he's made himself into a very good free throw shooter, which I think is important because this is a guy who's going to, as he develops, is going to get to that line more and more, and it's going to be vital that he makes those free throws because his team's going to need them.
73% from the line this year. I think the crowd's, they're counting, but I think they're faster than a second.
Yeah, well.
No? They're not saying Mississippi. They're not saying one Mississippi.
Yeah, they might be a little biased, too.
Bremer into the game, who's had a very strong season this year. Spent last part of the season as a starter. Blocking foul, though, after he turns it over. Artest was by him, and the foul.
Ron Artest defensively just gets after it. You know, and he intimidates you even when you are not being guarded by him because he's always a threat to get in the passing lane and come up with that steal. I mean, even here, you know, he just doesn't give you the angle to make that entry pass. And again, he's so strong. I mean, pound for pound, he's one of the strongest guys in this league.
Well, I also liked that when Ben Wallace won the Defensive Player of the Year for the second straight year, Ron Artest said quite simply, I should have won that award.
You know, and he makes a great argument because, again, as much as I love Ben Wallace, and he's a tremendous shot blocker, but Ben does so much of his work off the ball from the weak side. Whereas with Ron Artest, he has to be the guy to go out and stop and contain your best player. Today, Paul Pierce has only taken one shot in this game.
Great point.
And a lot of that is because of his ability to defend, deny, and when he does get the basketball, deter him from quality shots.
I just like the bravado. Oh, look at Lunt go after the rebound, almost knocked it back in. Lemmer, that's a three, no good. And O'Neal this time seals for the board. Strickland weaves his way, dumps it off. Jermaine O'Neal spins, trying to use the glass. Pierce is cut off again by Artest. He finds Williams. Bremer on the floor. Strickland there with him. And just tossed out of bounds. Tonight, the 2003 NBA playoffs continue on ESPN at 5:30 Eastern Time. It's Game 4. Ben Wallace, the guy we were just talking about in the Pistons, face off against T-Mac in the Orlando Magic. Orlando leading the series 2-1. The NBA postseason on ESPN, ESPN2, and ABC. Boston put together a run after struggling, but right now, Indiana's on a roll and lead by 9.
Chicago, Phil Jackson had problems with scoring point guards because typically they don't have a true point guard in that triangle, and that hurts you on the defensive end. Even though Derek Fisher is good defensively, they're horrible in the pick and roll, and Troy Hudson just shooting lights out in that series.
Yeah, Game 4 of that series on ABC this afternoon, 3 o'clock. Artest now looking for someone to come to the ball. Strickland does. Dumps it outside. Mercer tried to try. Artest now, 3 on the clock, and he traveled.
Yeah, that play kind of got a little bit discombobulated there. Good defense by the Celtics.
We're here at the Fleet Center in Boston. John Saunders, Greg Anthony, and Doris Burke. This is Game 4 of the Eastern Conference playoffs. The Indiana Pacers down to the Celtics 2-1. And even though they go back home after this game, this is a huge matchup. Al Harrington is going to check into the game, and he has got to increase his game for these Pacers to have a shot.
Oh, without question. He is the X factor in this series if you're the Indiana Pacers, and the Celtics and their staff feel like he will not have an impact, which I find a little surprising. I think he will have an impact in this game. The guy works too hard. He wants to be a great player too badly to not come out and put up some type of numbers, whether it be just on the defensive end or offensively.
We saw Paul Pierce with that last miss, was just his second attempt, and he has no points in the game. Lobbed inside, Blount just picked that one off. And then Antoine Walker and Mercer comes over to get him.
Going at his former college teammate.
Exactly, a couple of Kentucky guys. Just checking the game now. Brad Miller goes to the bench.
The other thing about Al Harrington, though, even offensively, if he's not going well, defensively, his ability to rebound and guard on the perimeter as well as in the post really gives you value out on the basketball floor if you're the Indiana Pacers.
Walker now working on Harrington. There's that D you're talking about. Moves his feet well. Walker comes up with a miss.
When you look at this Pacers team, I mean, they got oodles of talent.
Oh, yeah.
They got to get a little more purpose, a little more focus, which will come with experience.
They have oodles of talent, but it is a young team, and that changes things. Great job defensively by Blount to come up with that steal.
Yeah, again, you look at the Pacers, they don't have a point guard in the game. Again, that hurts you in terms of trying to have post-entry feeds. They're going to have to look to do more with the high-low. They tried it last time. Brad Miller had the turnover. So they're going to have to really be patient at this point without having that point guard and make sure they get quality shots.
Jeff Foster has just checked into the game for Indiana. Pierce and Walker have combined 1 of 8 from the field. That's why they're losing by 9. Williams now. Isolated with Harrington. Tries to stay with him. Jump hook. No good. Harrington with the rebound. That gets bumped on the way down and bumps it out of bounds.
That's unfortunate. But again, very good post defense by Al Harrington. And again, why is that so important? Because you don't have to double team, and it takes away one of the Celtics' big strength, which is that three-point shot. The double teams is what gives you the opportunities to get threes up on that weak side. You take that away when you don't have to double on the post.
Pierce tries to get Mercer in the air. He won't bite. Bremer looking to drive down. Strickland, nice job moving his feet. And a foul. And Strickland gets a little too aggressive defensively.
Yeah, but that doesn't hurt you. They're not in the penalty. Well, are they in the penalty? Yeah, I guess they're giving them shooting. Yeah, last two. Okay. Still decent defense, though.
Isaiah Thomas, when we talked to him before the game, there's a certain calm that comes to him. Down 2-1, he's not panicked at all.
Well, he's been there so many times as a player, and even with this team. I mean, that last year in that first round against the Nets, that was just a heck of a playoff series. This team learned a lot, I think, in that series. And that's why you see the energy they came out with to start this game. There was no lack of confidence. They came out executing their game plan offensively and defensively. I think they know that if they do what they're capable of on the defensive end, they can limit what this Celtics team wants to do offensively.
Bremer bangs them both in, and Strickland now tries to bring it up against a little pressure. Strickland calling out for some movement. Mercer gets it. Frees himself. Jump shot is good. Tough shot for Ron Mercer.
He's one of the best mid-range shooters in this league, and if he can get those kinds of looks, he's going to be a factor. He had a reasonably good game in Game 3. Unfortunately, they weren't able to win that.
Antoine Walker working on Mercer, goes up and gets it to drop down. And that's where Antoine Walker shows some strength.
And that's a matchup they can exploit because you're going to have to go double with Walker and being guarded by Mercer.
How about Eric Strickland's drive?
He has the ability, he's like a football player out there. He is going to the basket. He goes strong. He goes aggressively. And unless you step up and take the charge and deter him, he's going to continue to do that.
Bremer swings it. Blount, they play well off him. Williams dumps it down to Walker on the baseline. 5 on the shot clock. Turns baseline, misses everything. They don't have a fresh clock. Bremer just realizes it in time and buries a three.
Big shot there right when the clock was running down. Give this team a little momentum.
Final 15 seconds of the first quarter. Pacers ready, just let it wind down. Let Strickland go one-on-one. Poke from behind. Clock time running out. 2 seconds left. It'll still belong to Indiana.
That was a perfect example right there. Strickland not being a true point guard. He had Foster wide open cutting down the middle, but he didn't see him. And unfortunately, fortunately for the Pacers, they still get the ball back with 2 seconds and a chance to get a shot off. Antoine
Walker's arguing because he went over there to put the ball in play. He thought it was Celtics basketball, but clearly they called Pacers. Foster, one dribble, beats the buzzer, but nothing to it. Won't drop down, and the Indiana Pacers end the first quarter with a 25-19 lead.
And you got to like Jermaine O'Neal. This is where they have a huge advantage. The fact that he can score. Brad Miller's going to have a big game for this team. But again, they have no answer for Jermaine O'Neal. If they continue to get this kind of play in the paint, the Celtics are in trouble.
Second quarter.
Number 1 seed, maybe an upset, Anthony.
Your partner must miss you, right?
Oh, I miss him too. We have a great time there in the studio. Kevin's a great guy. But man, there's nothing like playoff basketball. Being in this environment, there is nothing like it.
Well, Paul Pierce, the big goose egg. And you see what he's averaging on the series, 25, and he's the 5th leading scorer in the league during the regular season. You get a whistle off the ball.
And again, we talked about Al Harrington's defense again. We saw him earlier guarding power forwards. Now they switch him out on a 2-guard, and Paul Pierce. And typically when you get the second-tier guy coming in, you feel like you're going to get a break defensively, but you're not going to have that with Al Harrington.
Exactly. Dealt now, and Strickland tries to stay in front of him. Blount to Dealt, down on the floor to Pierce. 5 on the shot clock. Pierce lets it fly, and again a miss. Foster, he got up for that rebound on someone's back as well.
He a very athletic player. And again, this is the guy, 9th guy on your team that can come in and give you this type of athleticism.
Foster swinging it to Mercer. Mercer back out to Strickland. Drives towards the baseline. Mercer wanted it back. 3 on the shot clock. Mercer launches a deuce. Foot on the line. No good. Walker with the rebound.
Good defense there by the Celtics. They got the Pacers to take a ill-advised shot there.
And Antoine Walker being extremely aggressive, driving it through the hall. Don't forget today on ABC, the 2003 NBA playoffs continue. 3 o'clock Eastern time. Game 4 action. Minnesota Timberwolves and Kobe Bryant, Shaq, and the Lakers. Minnesota leading the series 2-1. ABC, the new home of the NBA Finals. And I'll tell you what, Shaq and Kobe better get it going today. You can't blame them. You really cannot blame them. But defensively, they have just played so poorly. The Lakers giving up 110 points and shooting 51%. That's what Minnesota's doing.
Minnesota's playing well, but part of the problem with Shaq offensively is the fact that, you know, he had all the personal issues, the birth of a child, death of a relative. Then, you know, the travel involved with that takes a lot out of you physically. Now he's had a couple days to recover. You're not going to see Shaq shoot less than 40% from the field. And then Kobe with the shoulder injury. So I expect them to play a little bit better in this 4th game because it's, in essence, a must-win. You can't go down 3-1 heading back to Minnesota.
You know what? Until I see the Lakers go out, I'm not going to believe it. I'm always going to believe in the Lakers until I actually see them put up the final score at the end of the 7th game or whatever it is.
And they believe it as well.
Walker now. See Harrington out defensively. Great pass down to McCarty. Tinsley came over and fouled.
Great look. Again, I love what Boston is doing and offensively. You see the last few possessions, both shots come from the paint. And what happens? They get to the free throw line. That's something they have to continue to do. They cannot rely on that three-pointer. Even though they're shooting it well now, it catches up to you throughout the course of the game. You have to continue to pound it and be aggressive on the interior.
Well, you just go to game 1 when you talk about the free throws. Paul Pierce alone, 21 of 21. That's an NBA record for most attempts without a miss. And he just lived at the line as he put 40 up. And he also, as he does during the regular season, he led in free throw attempts. Harrington now puts it on the floor. O'Neal calling for it. Mercer gets it to the paint. Free throw line. Jump shot too deep. Pierce hits the deck but keeps the dribble going. Eric Williams misses everything.
Tell you what, though, the Celtics, again, they're doing a good job defensively on the post on Jermaine O'Neal, making it very difficult for the Pacers to get the ball into him.
Now Miller's down there calling for the ball. Harrington into some trouble. Good pass down to Mercer. Out to O'Neal. In for a closer look, but oops. 3 seconds. That little fake will get someone underneath waiting for a rebound.
Well, but overall, though, the Pacers offensively, they have poor spacing, and they're not really setting really good screens. They're not taking their time and showing patience and making sure they get good quality shots. You got to do that in the playoffs.
Pierce backs it out. Into the paint. Down to Williams. Drops it over the iron.
Again, 3 of the last 4 possessions, they get it in the interior. They get 1 field goal, and they get to the free throw line 2 other times. Again, that's what they have to do, even though they don't have the advantage in terms of size on the interior.
And it's down to a 1-point game now. Indiana trying to solve a problem down here. Their offense has gone stale. Harrington gets it to dance around and drops it down.
I tell you what, that is a huge basket for his confidence because he just needs something to get him going where he can become a factor offensively. This guy averages 12 points a game during the regular season, averaging less than 1 point a game in the playoffs. They need his offense.
They just more than doubled his playoff average with that field goal. Walter McCarty from the baseline.
Walter McCarty's MVP of this team in this series, in my mind, because he provides the spark on the offensive and the defensive end. Again, we talk about versatility. This guy can guard 3 positions out there.
Exactly. So long
and quick.
Harrington to Brad Miller. No good. Pierce up for the rebound. He and Walker collide. McCarty, lost his footing there underneath. Didn't get called for the travel. Dealt for a shot that was a little deep. Tinsley. A little stutter step, then drives. Almost turned it over. Harrington gets back to the ball. Now he loses it. Tinsley is wide open, didn't want the three. Brad Miller reverses it and gets fouled by Williams.
But again, very good decision. Even though Tinsley shot the three well, he still went to the better play, getting the ball to his big guys, try to get those guys going.
Celtics have closed to within one here at home.
Playing defense is to disrupt timing and spacing. That's the one thing you always want to do because you throw the rhythm off. Offense is about rhythm. Very few guys can score at will in this game. Most guys need rhythm to have opportunities. And you see it with the Pacers right now. The fact that Jermaine O'Neal has not had a field goal attempt in this quarter tells you that the Pacers are not showing real good rhythm right now offensively.
And Brad Miller at the line. And we go back to the point about Paul Pierce. I'd be most concerned with the Celtics, not about the fact that he hasn't scored, but more that he's only taken 3 shots.
Again, that goes to that's a testament to the defense that Ron Artest and Al Harrington have played, and they've not allowed him, again, as great as he is, to get into any kind of a rhythm where he can get that flow and that feel going. And hey, let's face it, they've done a great job on Antoine Walker as well. He's 2 for 8. So defensively, they're where they want to be. If they keep this game under 100, they have a better chance of winning.
Pierce drive underneath, and that's a charge. Got a little bit out of control, and Harrington stepped in. That's number 2 on Paul Pierce.
This is turning into one of those black and blue division football games where this is all about defense.
Tinsley out of a crowd. So Brad Miller gets it back. Delk steps right out. Long now comes out on the double team. Harrington, shot clock is down to 7. Harrington tried to rifle it down. Tinsley is there and gets it to drop from the baseline.
Great. They were fortunate. Again, that was not an easy shot. But Jamal Tinsley, again, continues to play very well in this series. One of the bright spots for the Pacers.
Every single possession, it is just extremely difficult. Pierce gets it to the glass and gets his first field goal of the game.
Great pass from Eric Williams there to get him an easy hoop and maybe get him going.
17 minutes into this one before Paul Pierce gets a field goal. That tells you Indiana's doing something right. O'Neal turns to the baseline. Shot's no good. Loose ball foul underneath against Eric Williams. Tonight on ESPN, Sunday Night Baseball presented by Nextel at 8 Eastern. Pedro Martinez and the Boston Red Sox go to Anaheim to face the world champion Angels. The Red Sox Angels is available on ESPN's new high-definition service, ESPN HD, the big picture in sports. For more information, log on to ESPN.com.
That HD is pretty impressive.
Oh, it's awesome.
I like that.
It is like looking through a sheet of glass instead of watching television. Miller now. Harrington. Williams comes out on him. Splits a double team. Shot is good. And that is big for Al Harrington's confidence.
It is, and it's big for the Pacers because if he continues to score offensively, it's going to open up that interior for Jermaine O'Neal because they're not going to be able to put all their focus on him.
Pierce trying to lose Mercer. Mercer doing a nice job, then O'Neal with the block. Tinsley almost lost it between his legs. Delk steps up to try and strip him. Tinsley spin into the hole.
Again, that point guard play is such an important factor for their team. The Pacers have it, and the Celtics don't.
And Jimmy O'Brien immediately synced those for a timeout as Tinsley was just able to waltz his way to the bucket for the easy deuce. Indiana up by 6. As he has just had a terrible trip here in Boston. Unable to get a field goal to fall, but eventually he's going to get it back. How about that?
He's not defending it as well as he'd like, but he can still score the basketball, and they're going to need his offense.
Harrington with it, hands it off to Tinsley. Delk gets right out on him. Brad Miller, open look, and it's good.
But again, that's the pick and roll right there. The fact that they have so much concern with it, that's going to give open shots, rhythm shots to the Pacers, and that's something they're capable of knocking down. Brad Miller's done that for them all year.
Exactly. He's very comfortable facing the basket. Pierce picks up his dribble. McCarty has it. Delk comes over to set the screen. Delk loses the handle as he does. McCarty from the baseline. Launches. O'Neal with the block. Knocked out of bounds. And that's a 24-second violation.
I tell you, look at that last possession. Antoine Walker, Paul Pierce not involved with that because the defense on the strong side, when they had it, very good. Pacers forcing other guys to have to make plays, which will be key in this series.
Jermaine O'Neal had 8 points in the first 7 minutes of the game. Had none since.
But they're playing better now. And they're moving the basketball, and other guys are contributing, which they haven't had. Remember, Al Harrington's been a non-factor thus far. Mercer with a nice up and under.
And the lead is back up to 8. Celtics, Pierce. They've got to get him on track. McCarty swings it. Delk, three-pointer on the way and good.
Nice. Again, Walter McCarty putting it right on the money. A nice scoring pass, and Tony Delk continues to give this team a nice offensive boost.
14 points for Tony Delk.
I don't know where they'd be without him right now.
They'd be out of this game completely. Tinsley now. Miller this time dumps it into O'Neal. Tough catch underneath, and he fights it up and gets hacked.
I mean, if you look at this team right now, the fact that the Celtics really have no answer for Jermaine O'Neal, and the fact that other guys are starting to play well means he's going to start getting more opportunities because they're going to have to now shift their focus away from just him and trying to contain Ron Mercer, Al Harrington, Brad Miller, and Jamal Tinsley.
And so O'Neal steps to the line.
We got a few seconds here, John, so we can wait.
We can wait.
I tell you, but to me, that shows a lot of poise for such a young player. You know, it's difficult to have the crowd in your ear like that while you're up there going through your rhythm, but that's what you have to do. That's how you develop as a player in this league. You get a rhythm, you get a routine, you stick to it. You don't allow the external forces or factors to deter you from that.
Oh, he's a youngster, but came out of high school, so he's been around long enough.
I played with him in Portland, and I tell you, it was a shame that he didn't get more minutes there because in practice, the guy could compete with anybody we had on that roster. And there's obviously a lot of talent on that Portland team.
So you knew that he was going to be this good.
Oh, there's no. I think everyone involved with that organization and all the players knew it because he showed it every day.
Pierce now trying to create, goes up for the jump shot and gets it to go.
That's a great shot, but again, defense was good, and if he's got to continue to get those kinds of shots, it's going to be difficult for the Celtics.
Oh, how about that? Tinsley just looks off everyone and finds Ron Mercer underneath the hoop.
Well, you see right now they're force-feeding that pick and roll. They continue to run that, and the Celtics have not had an answer. They're going to have to make some adjustments.
The Celtics trying to get some movement of their own. Delk comes to the ball, launches another three-pointer. This one won't stay down. O'Neal with the rebound.
You can see it coming again, the same play. They're having a hard time guarding it.
Well, they got lucky there. That was ill-advised pass by Tinsley underneath O'Neal. Oh, great job by Tinsley this time on the defensive end. To Mercer and Delk with a hard foul.
You know, and even though, again, they did have the turnover, the fact that they know they have something they can hurt the Celtics with, they're going to continue to stay with it. Again, Jamal, he's a young player. He's going to make a few mistakes, but overall, he's doing such a heck of a job. And here's a perfect example here. You know, the Celtics, all their emphasis is on the pick and roll. You can see Ron Mercer sneaks in on the backside. Pierce is peeking out to try to stop. Easy layup. Now this time, again, the Celtics make the adjustment. The play was not there. Walter McCarty, Johnny on the spot, was able to get there and force Al Harrington to a difficult shot.
Good job of making the adjustment after they just burned you. And Ron Mercer playing a lot of minutes for Indiana in the playoffs. Down the stretch of the season, he could barely get off the bench. He had a couple of nagging injuries, but still, he was glued there.
Well, I played with Ronnie last year, Brad Miller and Ron Artest in Chicago, and all those guys are very capable. And Ron had a knee injury. Well,
Pierce and Tinsley are about to go, and Artest comes over essentially saying, if I had done that, I'd have been teed up immediately. That was so amazing to see Artest come over and say, wait a second. double team. Tinsley reaches in, commits the foul. And Ron Mercer is arguing something else, but behind the play, Paul Pierce took a little swing.
Yeah, a little bit of frustration there.
Bremer, the shot clock now is 6. He launches a 3. That's his specialty, a little too deep.
You can see it now. The Celtics starting to settle in terms of their shots for threes and getting away from what was so effective for them earlier in this quarter with penetration, the scores in the paint.
And they have to be extremely careful now, down by 9. This thing could be a huge lead at halftime if the Celtics don't D up here. O'Neal with 2 on a shot clock, turns and gets it.
Great patience. Again, that's another value that Brad Miller brings. He's a very good post feeder from the top, and a lot of big guys are not comfortable making that play. And that's a lot of times the one guy who's going to be available to make the pass. He does a nice job for Jermaine O'Neal.
Antoine Walker battling underneath. We got a defensive 3-second violation as someone wasn't guarding anybody underneath in the middle. Ron Artest, I thought that was the best part of the game for me right now. Come on, somebody blow a whistle.
And we talked with Isaiah before the game, the fact that a lot of people now try to bait Ron Artest. You know, they try to incite him, try to get him emotionally to kind of maybe cross that line. And he's done a much better job, and Isaiah was pretty adamant in saying, hey, I don't think Ron Artest is going to have any more problems with the league or opposing players. And it's going to be important. You know, you can't afford, literally and figuratively, to continue to miss this many games because it does hurt this team. And now they're trying to win championships. It's not just about going out and playing.
Pierce shooting the technical for that defensive 3-second call. And another thing that we pointed out to Isaiah, this year Ron Artest, I think, makes about $1.9 million. Next year he's over $5 million. So every time he gets a suspension, it's going to be a lot more money out of his pocket next year.
I'm sure he'll be concerned. Another key point here. You know, that was Paul Pierce's first free throw attempt in the game, and that came off a technical.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. 4 on the clock. Bremer, a little jump stop. This is everything. And another 24-second violation. Don't forget, later today on ABC, Minnesota and the LA Lakers. The Lakers try to avoid going down 3 games to 1. And then tonight on ESPN at 5:30, Detroit and Orlando. And on TNT, Dallas, Portland, San Antonio, Phoenix. You think Dallas is going to sweep out your old mates?
It doesn't look good. I mean, I thought that Portland put forth a great effort there the first 3 quarters and was not able to close the door. But they have no answer. Having a heck of a series.
Brad Miller with that deuce. And Nowitzki's been terrific.
I'll tell you again, you got to love the job defensively that the Pacers are doing. They're really frustrating Walker and Pierce, making other guys have to beat them who are not capable.
Pierce again, swings it out to McCarty. 3-pointer, no good. That shot was flat. Long chases it down, Bremer to Pierce. Pierce launches a 3-pointer that's no good. O'Neal just goes up and muscles down the rebound.
That's right. I mean, they've been shooting the 3 reasonably well, but again, you can't just live with it. They're going to have to figure out a way to get some penetration and try to get to that free throw line.
O'Neal, the clock goes down to 5. Walker reaches in and picks his pocket. Bremer out to Walker, looks back to see if the 3 is there. It's not. Now Bremer gets Miller to fly past. Walker off the mark.
I'll tell you again, they are not going to win just trying to shoot that 3-pointer. And the problem for me is the fact that Antoine Walker is such a great basketball player. He typically has an advantage because he's got big power forwards guarding him who have no lateral foot movement. He can beat them to the basket. He's going to have to get back to doing that in this series if they're going to get back in it. In this game, I should say.
Miller just grazes the iron. And the shot clock and game clock are about a second, maybe a second and a half apart. So Boston trailing right now by 12. They do not want to give Indiana a chance to get another point. 5 on the shot clock. Bremer, wide open look at 3, no good. O'Neal just heaves it to the other end and hits a few of the reporters down there.
there again, their last 5 field goal attempts, 3-pointers.
In this case, he has 12 points in the game. Brad Miller with 12 points, and Ron Mercer off the bench with 8. Tony Delk has just been tremendous for the Celtics. During the season, averaged under 10 a game, and right now he has 14. And Doris Burke is with Jermaine O'Neal.
Jermaine, you guys were able to hold Boston at 30% shooting in the first half. What made you so successful defensively?
Just pressuring up, making these guys, put on the floor and pick it up, and we're trying to recover. We have a sense of urgency right now. Obviously, we don't go back to Indiana, down 3-1. We want to try to get a win here and put it back in Conseco Fieldhouse hand.
You got off to a very quick start offensively, 12-9 in the game. What did they do differently in the second quarter?
It's us. We're just going to continue to run our offense, and hopefully I can still find some nicks and knacks in the defense and try to score some easy buckets. But defensively is the key for us. Make these guys take some tough shots, make them keep fighting against the shot clock, and I think it'll happen for us.
Thanks, Jermaine. They've done a good job defensively, guys.
Yes, they have indeed. And coming up, the AT&T halftime report. Kevin Frazier will have that. He'll get you ready for the rest of the stuff this afternoon. But right now, Indiana poised to tie this series at 2 games apiece, leading the Boston Celtics 48-36. We'll get back to Boston after a halftime show with the Celtics in a fight.
Celtics. And then the Miller time, Brad Miller stepping up big. Reggie's still struggling somewhat, but Al Harrington, Ron Mercer able to pick up the energy level for him. And then Brad with 12 points in the 3-pointers. The Celtics on pace to shoot 33s in this game. I don't think they're going to have a chance to win if they continue to put it up. They had much more success when they were trying to penetrate and get the ball in the interior.
Yeah, right now they're giving up 2-point shots to get 3-point shots. Paul Pierce comes to the ball, bounces off his hands and out of bounds.
I tell you, that was a huge change-up by the Pacers to come out with the full court pressure, threw the Celtics for a loop and almost got a turnover.
See the leading scorers, and Tony Delk is under 10 points for the season. That's his average. And right now he's outscoring Antoine Walker and Paul Pierce combined, and I'm guessing that's not good.
It's not good at all. And again, a perfect example right now. You got Antoine Walker being guarded by Reggie Miller, and they don't even try to get him the basketball to take advantage of that mismatch, and that's just not good basketball. And a lot of times that happens because you don't have a point guard on the floor who's able to recognize those mismatches.
They don't have that point mentality. If anybody has the point mentality, it's Antoine Walker.
Yeah.
He's the guy you want to get the ball. Miller now. Shot clock is down to 5. Brad Miller puts on the floor. Petit gets in his way. And then McCarty got a hand on it, but Brad Miller still fought it home.
I tell you, it is such an advantage to have a guy like Brad Miller. He can shoot it from the perimeter. He can dribble a basketball a little bit, rebounds the ball for you. It's a nice compliment to Jermaine O'Neal.
Pierce, one of the few openings he's seen, and it still won't drop for him. A lot of hands up there. Brad Miller gets Pierce in the air, and he'll go to the free throw line.
I tell you, just coming right out the bat, the fact that Artest is not giving up anything easy, making Pierce take a very tough shot. Again, and then the frustration starts to set in a little bit because he has not yet to get a rhythm. And the same thing with Antoine Walker. Your 2 big guns have yet to really get into any kind of rhythm offensively. That's got to be a big concern for Jim O'Brien.
You know what you love about Ron Artest's defense? I mean, to be a good defender, you have to get through screens, but he just seems to be able to glide around them as opposed to fighting himself and causing extra energy just to get around that screen.
A part of that comes from the fact that he is so strong. And, he's able to get through screens in ways that other guys can't just because of his pure physical ability. And then also the other thing about being a defensive player, you're going to get beat on occasion. But this guy, time in and time out, comes out and just shuts down your best player. I mean, literally takes him out of the equation.
Paul Pierce has been out of the equation all game. McCarty with an open look at 3, and it's good.
Okay, they needed that. They can't live with that 3-pointer, but they definitely need it, and it just has to be timely.
Well, they certainly have the guys who can make it. Had 4 guys this year make over 100 threes for the Celtics. Tinsley, Miller gets his man in the air, and a foul. Antoine Walker turned his back and Kind of hope that they wouldn't notice.
Again, because Brad Miller has the ability to knock that 18-footer down, you have to respect it. He gets Antoine off his feet, picks up a foul.
Delk out on Tinsley. O'Neal comes to set a screen. Brad Miller just inside the arc and grazes the front of the iron. And that's probably how he's probably bought a basketball outside of his ring. Oh, what a pass up to Tony Batiste.
Great catch, too, by Tony Batiste. Again, that's a guy they need on the floor as many minutes as possible because of plays just like that.
And it gets the crowd back into the game, which is huge. Artest now fighting, wants to get it to O'Neal. Reggie Miller still without a field goal. 0 for 9 here in Boston in the 2 games. Pierce, open look at 3, and it's good.
Quick timeout by Isaiah. Good play. Again, the Celtics came out with the energy in this quarter and got back in this basketball game.
And we make the point that they can't do everything with 3-pointers. Well, guess what? Someone forgot to tell Paul Pierce. The bracket has been wide open. As you can see, everyone has won at least 1 game.
And everyone has an opportunity to make it all the way to the finals just because these teams are so evenly matched, and it's just going to make for an exciting opening round.
Oh, and this crowd, as the Celtics start the second half on an 8-4 run to close, is right back in this game.
I tell you, it's the first time the crowd's been in the game since the opening tip, and it's going to be interesting to see how Indiana deals with this adversity.
Shot clock is down to 5. Reggie Miller to Tinsley. It's at 2. Tinsley's got to let it go. Beats the buzzer, but comes up empty, and then Walter McCarty can't corral the rebound.
You know, I was going to make the point coming out of this timeout, it's going to be important to see if Indiana could at least get a good field goal attempt. Whether they make it or not is not as important, but that shows that they're still able to execute when the Celtics are playing with this much energy.
Reggie Miller with it down. And we get a whistle.
Celtics foul is number 4, Tony Batiste.
Tony Batiste picks up his 3rd foul. A little aggressive with the elbow.
Yeah, and that's also the 3rd team foul, though. Again, this will give the Pacers an opportunity to get to the free throw line, get in the penalty early. That helps you when you're struggling a little bit offensively.
Very early. Tinsley again. The clock is now down to 5. Reggie Miller to Ron Artest. Closer look. Baseline. Tough shot. Won't go. Antoine Walker with the rebound. To Batiste. Pulls up. Shot is good.
And that was it. The Pacers did not get a good field goal attempt the last 2 times down. They have got to figure out a way to execute better against the Celtics defense.
It's down to 6. Tinsley grabs it. Brad Miller with Antoine Walker on his back. Walker reaches for it. Clock again, now at 4. Brad Miller on the floor, loses it. Great defense by Antoine Walker. Oh, Artest just not biting on anything. Spin move, it's good.
I tell you, and you can see it right now. The Pacers looking at each other. They have lost some confidence. They're going to have to regroup. And Boston now, their big guns starting to play. Walker on the defensive end, and Paul Pierce just being aggressive, not giving up on this play. Beautiful spin move for the finish with a chance to make it a 3-point play. Again, look at that. Just great body move, body control. He's a great scorer. You're not going to stop him the entire game, but Ron Artest has done a pretty solid job up until this point.
That's now a 13-0 run by the Boston Celtics. It's back to a 3-point game.
And this entire time, Jermaine O'Neal has not had a field goal attempt. And again, that's where you got to go.
O'Neal underneath to Miller. He's got nowhere to go. McCarty almost had it. O'Neal, short. Walker, rebound again.
Again, the energy level is picked up for Boston. Defensively, they're getting after it. They're not giving up anything easy.
Oops. Little Kentucky talk going on. Ron Mercer and Antoine Walker I don't think they were discussing the bluegrass steaks.
I tell you, friendships are left at the door in the playoffs.
And they're still jawing at each other.
Yeah. I tell you, it's both guys right now, you got a little bit of frustration on the Pacers side. Antoine Walker starting to get into the game from an energy standpoint, starting to try to make things happen. Again, the Pacers are going to have to calm down, show some poise out there. This is where leadership becomes so important. And Jermaine O'Neal is that leader of that team. He's got to somehow get this team to control himself and calm down.
Pierce wants the ball. Artest commits the foul again. And the crowd loves it when Ron Artest picks up a foul.
I tell you, again, even though it's a foul, Artest continue to try to be physical, which is what he has to do against Paul Pierce. And that foul doesn't really hurt you. You're not in a penalty.
And it's just his second. Delk shot, short. Pierce chases down the ball. Gives to Petit, who gets whacked in the face as he tries to throw it down.
Looks like he's hurt on the play.
He's up now, though. Petit tried to go strong to the hole. NBA playoffs in high definition on NBA TV Tuesday. There's a doubleheader beginning at 7. The Nets host the Bucks, followed by the Pacers hosting the Celtics. Game 5 doubleheader Tuesday at 7 in HD, high definition on NBA TV. NBA playoffs 2003. Love it live.
They've called a flagrant foul on this, and I'd like to see it. Yeah, that's a good call. He didn't make a play for the ball. You definitely have to make that call right there. And again, this is where the Pacers, being a young team, when things get tight, they really start to lose it emotionally. And this is an important time. Teams make runs in this league. That's what this league's all about. You can't really lose your focus and sight of the big picture. They're going to make their run, but stay patient, continue to execute on the offensive end and get good quality shots and stay aggressive defensively.
Well, in Game 3 in this series, the Indiana Pacers, with about 8 minutes left in the third quarter, went the next 15 minutes with 1 field goal. So they will go through dry spurts.
And again, it's not an excuse, it's a reality. It's a young basketball team. They're still growing, and when you go through those growing pains, this is the type of stuff that you go through and the struggles that you have to deal with.
Pierce shoots over Artest, who gives him a little bit of space, and that's all he needs.
I tell you, they shot the ball at 29% there in the first half. They come out the second half, and they are just on fire.
6 of 9 from the field for the Boston Celtics in this half. How about that?
How about Paul Pierce? Again, he's a clutch player, too. He's always picked it up in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter. But, I'm sure he felt that sense of urgency to try to get his team back in the game.
4 fouls now on Tony Petit. In our test, we got a 3-second call. And it's a defensive 3-second violation on the Celtics, so that is an automatic technical foul. And Mercer goes to the line to shoot that.
I'll tell you, it doesn't seem like much, but that's a big play because this gives them an opportunity to put a point on the board just to kind of break the ice and maybe settle this team down. Again, when you're young like this, they're going to go through such blows in terms of their emotions that they just need something positive to happen. Even to get the free throw might be just what they need.
Tony Petit goes to the bench with his 4 fouls. Tinsley now, Delk right out in his hip pocket. Swings it underneath Jermaine O'Neal. Great ball movement. Artest has it now. 2 on the shot clock. Open 3 is good.
And there it is again. Good ball movement. They get the double team on O'Neal playing out of that post, and they're able to knock down a 3, settle them down a little bit.
That's Indiana's first 3-pointer. Williams. Boy, he caught that awkwardly. Went back on 1 foot and popped it right down.
Nice shot. Well, again, coming off the bench for this team, he gives them the ability to score. They don't have a lot of offense coming off the bench, but putting him there helps them, I think.
O'Neal right at McCarty, and Walter McCarty gets hit for the blocking foul.
Again, you see the difference now. The ball's going to Jermaine O'Neal, and they're playing out of him. He's your best player. He's got to touch the ball. I mean, that first half, he only took 6 shots. And it's pretty amazing he's still able to get that double-double. But again, this team, play out of him. That's where they have the advantage. He can score when he wants down there. More importantly, he can pass out of that double team, which will give you rhythm shots, which right now the Pacers need.
He had that double-double in the first half. He led the East in double-doubles this year. And he's now also 7 of 7 from the free throw line.
You know, another point, psychologically, the fact that the Pacers never relinquished that lead, if they're able to somehow maintain that throughout the rest of this quarter, that's going to bode well for them as they go into the fourth.
8 for 8. And Jermaine had a few choice words for the crowd. They were letting him know he wasn't going to make that free throw. Pierce comes to the ball. Artest practically in his shorts with him. We got something else again away from the ball. Maybe some blood on Brad Miller on his knee. That's what it looks like it is. So, you know, the play cannot go on if a player has blood anywhere on their body or on their jersey.
Looks like they'll get that cleaned up, get Brad back out there. This is a big possession for the Celtics right now. Again, they still have the momentum, although the Pacers have been able to score the last couple possessions. If they can get another bucket here, it's going to continue to put that pressure on the Pacers and make the Pacers have to make quality plays.
And now Boston Celtics, they're going to call a timeout. So the Celtics have come out in the second half, fired out of a cannon to close in. Hey, during the Magic Pistons game, we will have an update on Kenny's progress as he goes coast to coast. Antoine Walker dumps it in. The Celtics within 3 now. Tinsley trying to lose Delt. Jermaine O'Neal. I think he expected to turn around and have somebody in his face when no one was there.
That's a great point, John, and that's exactly what happened. Caught him off guard. The defense by the Celtics has been so aggressive in this third quarter that they've been expecting to see bodies even when they're not there.
And as a result, over the limit, Celtics going to the line. And as mentioned, the points that you can score from there for Paul Pierce. Game number 1. 21 of 21 from the free throw line.
I tell you, this is reminiscent of game 1 too. You know, he had the slow start in that game offensively, and he just got it going, got some free throws, got his rhythm. And again, we talked about earlier, rhythm. That's what gets guys going. And sometimes a layup will do it for you. Getting to the free throw line, just to get the feel of seeing that ball go through the basket.
Pierce now has 10 points here in the third quarter. O'Neal waiting for someone. Brad Miller poked away by Antoine Walker. Artest gets it. Eric Williams moves his feet, stays with him nicely. Shot clock at 4. Brad Miller's got to let it go. Trapped from behind, 24-second violation.
And right there again, the Celtics being the aggressors, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. Oftentimes you'll see a foul call in a situation like that, but because have set the tone defensively, they have the momentum, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt.
Al Harrington up off the bench, he's going to come in. Reggie Miller can only look on. This has just been a nightmare, this visit to Boston. Dell. Tinsley making him work a lot of the clock. Now Pierce comes to the ball. Mercer out on him. Pierce spins. Antoine Walker to the paint, leans in strong, and it's good. The Celtics have their first lead of this game.
Great play. Again, you notice, too, they're not relying on that three-pointer now. Again, that's where Antoine can really hurt this team, his ability to penetrate the basketball.
Mercer turns it over. Zelk right at Tinsley, then pulls it out. McCarty. Antoine Walker, three-pointer, and it's good.
I tell you, you got to love this energy that the Celtics are playing with. They got the crowd back in the game. The Pacers are reeling right now.
NBA. Fridays on ESPN. Finals tickets, RSVP.
My bags are packed.
Finals tickets.
Let's get the party started.
Get in the AT&T Ultimate Fan Zone sweepstakes. Log on now to NBA.com/ATT Fan Zone to enter for a chance to win a trip for two to an NBA Finals game.
Trip to the finals. Sweet.
I'm all about bright lights, homie.
NBA Finals. Sign me up.
Watch the NBA on ESPN Friday nights to see if you've won.
Daddy's coming to La La Land.
You can be fast, or you can be strong. Or you can find a way to be both. What's my thirst? Doing whatever it takes.
It's about that time.
What's yours?
It's about that time.
Back here at the Fleet Center, Paul Pierce had only 5 points in the first half, but in the second half, things started to heat up. A couple of Kentucky guys, Mercer and Walker, go head-to-head. And then Pierce battling with Ron Artest. Artest picked up 2 quick fouls. And then Paul Pierce decided to distribute, and Petit gets hit in the face. A flagrant foul called on that. And at the end, it's like, I appreciate what you're doing. But guess what? Celtics on a 26-8 run and a 9-0 run. And they have opened up a 4-point lead.
I tell you what, the Celtics, again, they're showing their experience. You know, they've been here. These guys have been here. They went to the conference finals last year. Obviously, they struggled a little bit when they lost. You know, they made the big move from Ben Baker. It's going to be interesting to see how Indiana now responds.
Well, the crowd's going to make it difficult for them to hear anything. Artest drives. Walker got a hand on it. Harrington has it. Shot clock at 5. Picked off by Paul Pierce. Indiana is coming unglued. Pierce trying to fire it in, and Tinsley comes up with it. Indiana has got to figure out something on offense. Pass down to O'Neal, who spins and drops it in.
Great poise there again. That's where you got to go. Go to your go-to guy. He's on the block. You're in the penalty. Make the Celtics have to double.
Especially when you were in trouble. Having a difficult time scoring. Celtics at 77%. They've shot about 29% in the first half. Pierce, no good. O'Neal with the rebound. Ahead to Harrington. Good catch. Lays it off the glass.
What about the pass? Great look ahead by Jamal Tinsley. And again, Al Harrington continuing to have an impact on this game. It's going to be huge for the Pacers down the stretch.
Yeah, Harrington was a non-factor in the first 3 games. Antoine Walker over Harrington. Walks him back, throws it up, and no good. And Antoine Walker comes up limping. One of those knee-to-knee collisions, it looked like.
I hope that's what it is and not a groin, because it also looks somewhat like it was a groin. But, you know, it's a playoffs. He knows you're going to deal with the pain. Antoine's a competitor, and he wants to be out there.
Number 8, Antoine Walker with the line to shoot 2.
So, again, the game is tied at 62. After the Celtics have grabbed the lead, Walker's going to try and put Boston on top again, but misses the first. Tonight, the 2003 NBA playoffs continue on ESPN at 5:30 Eastern Time. Game 4. Ben Wallace and the Detroit Pistons facing Tracy McGrady, T-Mac, and the Orlando Magic. The Magic leading the series 2-1. The NBA postseason on ESPN, ESPN2, and ABC. And again, that's the 1-8 game. Walker barely grazing the iron in that one. And Orlando, the 8th seed, is up by a game. I think all 8 teams in the playoffs are pretty much even up in the East. Strickland drops it back outside. Artest, 3-pointer, rattles halfway down and pops out.
Again, it wasn't a bad shot, but I'd just like to see them get the ball into Jermaine O'Neal's hands. And again, Paul Pierce in transition. playing extremely well. He's done it time and time again. You can't expect this guy to be a non-factor throughout the course of the game.
This just in. Paul Pierce is feeling it as he grabs a rebound. Williams wanted the ball desperately. And Pierce, oh no! He did not!
You do hit it right on time. He is feeling it right now. I tell you, that's what the playoffs are about. Great players making great plays. That is just an incredible shot right there. With the contact.
I mean, Paul Pierce had 5 points in the first half. He's got 16 points in the third quarter.
I tell you, again, it's so timely. You know, he comes up with the shots when you need him the most.
And now Indiana in some trouble, down by 6. Harrington has it. O'Neal trying to fight his way free. He's got McCarty down there with him. Tries to muscle him. Harrington now pulls up over Walker. No good. Bremer with the rebound.
There you go. Get it to the high guy.
Pulls up beyond the free throw line. And Paul Pierce right now is unstoppable.
I tell you what, it's a crucial time. Again, we keep talking about it, but the Pacers have got to be careful. They're down 8 right now. They cannot afford to lose this game and go down 3-1 in this series.
No, this is the time Indiana better pull it up right now, or they might be saying goodbye to the series. Mercer gets it back. Shot clock at 4 as Mercer releases. No good. Walker with the rebound.
I tell you something else that you notice. The Pacers only had 1 offensive rebound in the entire first half. I don't think they have any in this quarter.
Incredible. Antoine Walker, a long 3 off the mark. Harrington grabs the rebound.
Big possession. They got a chance to maybe go 2 for 1. I don't know if they're going to take it simply because they've been struggling so much offensively.
Final 35 seconds of the third quarter. I have a feeling Indiana's going to be happy to see this quarter come to an end. Mercer tries, reverse with no good. O'Neal, after the rebound, couldn't put it back.
I tell you, they right now offensively, the Celtics have totally taken them out of what they want to do. And then Paul Pierce offensively is just torching them.
Look at Harrington. He's talking to Pierce, is talking to each other. Come on, bring it. Bring it, big fella. Show me what you got. Pierce pulls up for a 3. That's what I've got.
Oh, my goodness. I tell you, Paul Pierce is just, they lit a fire under him, and he is just having an explosive game since that first quarter.
He had just 5 points in the first half. 21 points in the third quarter, and that has this Celtics crowd on its feet as Boston now has a double-digit lead. And the Boston Celtics scored more points in the third quarter than they did in the first half. That's why they have an 11-point lead. Doris.
Well, let's take a look at the Sprite Mad Skills, and I'll let you guess who it is, fellas. Paul Pierce has been absolutely sensational. An assist to Battie. The dribble drive, attack the rim, get there in a hurry. The step back fadeaway jumper, hard to guard that one. And then watch this. Why does he get to the free throw line? He knows when to lean in. And think about this, guys. As good as the Celtics have been, as many great players as they've had, Bob Ryan said, Paul Pierce is a licensed professional scorer. Bird's the best all-around player, but from a pure scoring standpoint, Greg, he said Paul Pierce is the best the Celtics have ever had.
I tell you, you can't really argue with it. Think about what he's been able to do in the clutch time and time again. And again, the Celtics shoot 74% in that third quarter.
And Indiana comes out empty to start their first possession of the fourth quarter. Artest trying to find a way to stop. Paul Pierce gets a little tip from behind. Pierce thought he was fouled. Tinsley now to Miller in a tough position, but Miller in control, throws it off the glass.
Okay, that's a big bucket. Nice patience there by Jamal Tinsley. Again, he's had a solid game for this team, but they are going to have to figure out an answer for Paul Pierce right now.
That's 18 for Brad Miller. Oh, how about that? Pierce gets fouled by Jermaine O'Neal.
Wow, I don't know. That looked like a pretty good block there, John. But again, we talked about momentum. When you have the momentum, you get the call.
A little backdoor action.
If I'm the Pacers, this is where I worry most about Paul Pierce, is getting to that free throw line. He has a knack for doing that. And if he's getting to the line and making the shots from the field, that makes him virtually unstoppable.
Again, in game one, he was 21 of 21. That is an NBA record for most attempts without a miss in the playoffs. Isaiah Thomas right now is saying we held this guy to 5 points in the first half, and he's on his way to ending up with 40 again.
I'll tell you what, I think he scored the last 13 points. And again, they do a good job of getting the ball to their best player.
Foul goes against Brad Miller. Illegal screen. Tried to pick somebody off with an elbow.
And again, these are the moments where you worry about a young team. You know, are they going to implode?
And that's the thing that observers need to be reminded. Yes, Indiana has a lot of talent. Probably more than any team in the East, but they are extremely young. Pierce, oh, how about that little duck under? Artest, I mean, he went right around Ron Artest.
Well, you know what? He's got that rhythm. We talked about it earlier. He's got the feel. He's got a little swagger in his step right now, and now he's attacking that rim. Again, he's getting to the free throw line. You know, this is actually a lot of good defense by Artest. He forces him into a tough shot, but Brad Miller just unable to get there in time for the block. And again, he's just been automatic at that free throw line, hasn't he?
Well, and the other thing is, when he starts getting off the way he is, you've got to have some help. Yeah. And he scored the last 14 points, and you've got to get help defense. And right now, it's just coming way too late.
Yeah, he's in that zone, and no matter who you are defensively, when a guy gets in that zone of the talent of a Paul Pierce, you got to basically just not allow him to get the shot off.
Mercer's shot no good. Antoine Walker corrals the rebound. That high dribble just got a little too high, and he carried it. Antoine said, yeah, I did it.
I tell you, again, though, when you're struggling offensively, you got to also try to get offensive rebounds. And, I mean, there's no question there. He turned it over. He even told the official, you know, good call, good call.
Kind of lost that one. Pulled the string. Artest now. Williams with a hand in his face. Miller swinging those elbows around Antoine Walker. Comes down to Artest. Celtics come with a help too late. Lays it off the glass, Artest.
Yeah, there's a lot of time in this game, just like the Celtics made the big run in the third quarter. The Pacers just have to be patient and continue to believe in what they need to do. But like you said, they got to find an answer to Paul Pierce.
Bremer thought about it, and Tinsley kind of tackled that, or rather Walter McCarty, and he'll pick up the foul. This team down 11, it is amazing to look at a future Hall of Famer sitting on the bench. But he's 0 for 9 since this series came to Boston. Mercer goes in hard. We might get a goaltend on that.
Now, the ball was blocked before, actually, it was deflected before Paul got to it, so that'll nullify the goaltend. But you're right. I mean, it's tough for Reggie Miller right now, but, I mean, as he gets older, it's harder for him to get those looks because he doesn't create his own shots the way he used to. And because this team is so young, oftentimes they don't really know how to play for him. They don't set the screens the way they need to get him those open looks where he can be more effective.
And you see his career in the playoffs. Just ask Spike Lee.
Well, ask me, because I've faced it many times when I was with the Knicks. We had just some tremendous battles with this Pacer team, and the one constant was always Reggie Miller. He always was there. He always made those big shots. And again, just like Paul Pierce is doing, he's a guy where you just couldn't let him get the shot off.
The last game for Reggie was the first in 112 playoff games that he did not make a field goal. Petit with it. Delk wants to give it to Antoine Walker. Goes at his former Kentucky mate. Spins. 3 on the shot clock. Eric Williams' 3 is no good. And Brad Miller had Petit sealed. O'Neal catches it and drops it in.
That's like a quarterback throwing it up to his wide receiver, just having trust that he's going to go up and get the ball. Jermaine O'Neal did a great job of out-battling to come up with that layup.
Petit, Pierce really fighting, get free, and Ron Mercer grabbed his jersey.
I mean, that's such a ticky-tack off. You watch that play prior. Artest is battling like crazy, and then they call that.
Oh, grabbing the sweater. 8:54 to go. Doris, what did they say? What did Isaiah Thomas have to say to his crew?
Well, John, you and Greg have talked so much about the youth on this Indiana team. Isaiah Thomas's demeanor has never changed this game. He's been remarkably calm in every single huddle. The only guy, though, who was doing any talking remarkably was Timmy Hardaway. He's not played a lot in the series, but he said, listen, guys, we are right there. This is not that big a differential. We can get back in this thing.
And he's a guy who would know with his experience, 13 years.
And, and that's such a great point, because even though everything's going against you right now, you looked up, you're down 8 points, you got 9 minutes to go in this game. You know you can score the basketball in the paint with Jermaine O'Neal. You just got to figure out a way to get stopped with Paul Pierce. Everybody else, they've done a pretty good job of containing. But Paul Pierce just went wild there in that third quarter. But you still got to believe with Ron Artest that you're going to have an opportunity to contain him somewhat. But you know what else is interesting? The Pacers only have 2 offensive rebounds this entire game. And to me, that just shows that they're not bringing that energy, because that's what offensive rebounding is, energy. You got to go after, you got to want that basketball. Those are possessions and those are scoring opportunities that you need if you're the Indiana Pacers.
Well, you saw Ed Rush, the official, talking to Isaiah Thomas, and apparently what they're clarifying is they've taken a foul away from Brad Miller and given it to Jermaine O'Neal. And that means that Jermaine O'Neal now has 5 fouls, which down 77-69 with under 9 minutes to go, that could not be any bigger.
Oh, that's a huge loss, because again, that is your best player, that's your go-to guy, and not have him out there is going to make it tough for you.
At this end of the floor as well, where defensively he can be in there blocking shots. Later today on ABC, Minnesota looks to take a 3-1 lead over the LA Lakers. It's at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Then back on ESPN, Detroit and Orlando. The Magic can go up 3-1. Dallas will look to sweep out Portland on TNT. And then San Antonio and Phoenix also on TNT. That follows at 10:30 Eastern time.
Well, I tell you, Isaiah's taking a big gamble here. He's coming back with Jermaine O'Neal at a crucial point.
Don't you think he has to?
Well, you know, I don't know. Obviously, you want him on the floor, but you got 9 minutes. You know, it's a 9-point, potentially 10-point game. You know, you might want to just take a possession or two to see if you can score without him out there, because if you risk losing him now, I mean, then it looks really bleak for you.
Exactly. The rebound off the miss comes to the Celtics.
Because remember, he also cannot be as aggressive because of those 5 fouls.
Eric Williams driving, loses it. Artest from behind. Brad Miller originally did the job defensively there. Mercer now puts it on the floor. Tinsley almost lost it out of bounds. There's Jermaine O'Neal fighting Petit. Turns. Won't stay down. Brad Miller strong with the rebound. Goes right at Antoine Walker. He and Petit over there.
And we just talked about it, John. Offensive rebound. That's a big possession there, because now you get the shot you want from Jermaine O'Neal. Also, the offensive rebound, it takes away the opportunity for the Celtics to get out in transition. Again, nice shot there. Brad Miller working to get the offensive rebound, getting to the free throw line. And you need free throws at a time like this when you're struggling offensively. Of course, you got to make them.
Got to make them. And this is an 82% free throw shooter for Brad Miller. And he's having a big game. And really, I hate to say it, but it's kind of about time. He averaged 13 points during the regular season, down below 10 here in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of their guys, again, he has not obviously played as well as he's capable, nor has Al Harrington. And we documented the fact Reggie Miller struggled. So, and that basically in a nutshell is why this team finds themselves in a situation where they could be down 3-1 after this game.
They better get this next 8 minutes. Well, it's going to be tough going back to Indianapolis. Walker out of a double team. Over the top. I think that was intended for Petit. Antoine's hand could have at least jumped.
He's a little frustrated, but that was, he had him open earlier for a lob and he didn't throw it. He kind of held it and waited too long.
Artest to Mercer. Down to Jermaine O'Neal. Wants to go one-on-one with Petit. Moves in reverse and gets fouled. And I would think that's a way to get back in the game very quickly because there's nobody who can handle Jermaine O'Neal. And if he can get to the free throw line, stops the clock, gets points while it's stopped.
It does. And also, Tony Petit picking up his 5th foul. He's really the only guy that has a chance to be able to guard Jermaine O'Neal. They don't want to necessarily have to put Mark Blunt on him because he just doesn't have the lateral movement.
This crowd has been letting the young fella have it all day long.
I tell you what, though, you look up again, everything going the Celtics' way. They got a chance to cut this thing to 6 points. And then that's a situation where if you're Isaiah, you might think about pulling Jermaine because, hey, now that the game is manageable, it's not out of hand. You can maybe buy a few minutes with him on the bench if they can just maybe maintain that 6-point or even diminish some of that deficit.
Red Auerbach calmly sitting by. Even that calmly was coaching 9 championships.
Well, you know, he's seen a few tough moments,
yeah, I would think
moments in his day.
Williams to Pierce. McCarty looks down at the free throw strike and buries another triple.
I tell you, how big has that guy been this entire series? He just gives you the energy on the defensive end. He makes big shots, hustle plays.
Antoine Walker gets the foul, trying to battle with Brad Miller.
I tell you, Paul Pierce here, 3 guys around him, finds the open man. He's been doing that all game. More importantly, in this series, the Celtics have been knocking those shots down.
You see the advantage from outside the stripe, and that's Boston basketball.
It is, and, you know, it's not necessarily a recipe for success, but it has been in this series and definitely in this game.
Test trying to lose Williams into a double team. Brad Miller, 2 on the shot clock. Jermaine O'Neal, he didn't beat it. Did not beat the buzzer. Another 24-second violation.
And again, just really poor spacing by the Pacers. You know, there's no room for them to be able to operate. They got guys sitting right on top of each other. Again, the Celtics doing a great job of disrupting what they want to do offensively.
McCarty dumps it off to Antoine Walker. Williams comes around. Pierce, thought about the 3, drives. Trying to create some space between him and Artest. Out to Antoine Walker, puts it on the floor. McCarty, 3-pointer, no good this time. Tinsley wants to run with it. Brad Miller jump shot. That's off the mark. Antoine Walker sealed O'Neal and took the ball, and Jermaine O'Neal is calling for a foul.
And Jermaine, again, can't be as aggressive with the 5 fouls.
Up and down at the other end. Maybe a little makeup there as Antoine Walker gets hit with the offensive foul. Ron Mercer hit the deck.
Again, Boston, you know, they feel confident because they know they can exploit the inexperience of the Pacers. They've been doing it in this series other than that second game.
Tinsley to O'Neal. Good catch, and what a finish.
Beautiful pass here by Jamal Tinsley. And again, as you mentioned, a great finish. Again, you look up, 7-point game. You got a half a quarter left. There's a lot of time. Can they come up with the stops is going to be the key.
Exactly. O'Neal got off the floor like he was on a springboard. Pierce drives, takes it to the glass, but comes up short. Tinsley now to Brad Miller, wide open. The Celtics fell asleep defensively, and they made him pay.
And again, the guy who, to me, who's making it happen, Jamal Tinsley, great poise and patience out there, making the plays, getting everybody involved.
And oh, by the way, we still have 5+ minutes to go. Indiana within 5.
catch and shoot. They've been able to frustrate Al Harrington, and he's obviously a big part of what they like to do. And when you can do that, you're going to have an impact. And then it's a matter of how do the Pacers respond.
Well, we're about to find out. Pierce, not this time, comes right back to Eric Williams. Antoine Walker has it. Wants to go at Mercer, backs him in. O'Neal with the double team, and a tough shot is good. Doris, did they draw that one up in the last huddle?
Well, Jim O'Brien talked about transition defense. He said the Pacers have 8 transition points in this quarter. Do a better job there. He said, Delk, if you get caught on Brad Miller, don't leave him. He's got 21.
Yeah, that's a good find. It said guard Miller. They didn't know it meant Brad. Nice little dump down. O'Neal gets it on the iron, but it won't stay down. Good save by Brad Miller as he goes into the Celtics bench. Artest now. He comes up short and then commits the foul.
Jump ball.
Going over. Oh, they gave him a jump ball from over the back?
You know what happened? He got the ball before the contact. I mean, even though he came over the back, that happens. You know, you got to give him credit for that. Both officials made the call. It wasn't as if one official called foul.
I hear you, but he's going over
Here we
an
get
awful
another
lot
look
of
at it.
back.
Let's take a closer look at this one. You know, he beat him. You see it right there. He was over his back, but he got the ball before the contact, and that's what the rule. I'm telling you what the officials ruling on it.
I'm giving you that dirty look. Like, what you talking about, Willis? Brad Miller then leans in and commits the offensive foul, and then steps over Paul Pierce, not gingerly.
Again, the frustration setting in a little bit. And that's obviously the toughest job for Isaiah Thomas. Emotionally, how do you keep this team stable and keep them together when things aren't going their way?
Well, that's just a missed opportunity for Indiana. They didn't get the foul call against them, and then they come up with the ball and can't convert it and get their own offensive foul. Pierce, Artest slides over with him. Tony Dixon's three-pointer no good. Jermaine O'Neal with the rebound.
Defensively, the Pacers doing a much better job now contesting shots and rebounding the basketball.
Tinsley out of the double team. Artest, good look at a three. Still no good, and Antoine Walker grabs another rebound.
Not a great shot. You know, he's open, but they could probably get something better on that possession. It's too early, I think, to try to rely on those three.
And they're just letting Antoine Walker go one-on-one with Ron Mercer. They're overloading one side, letting him go one-on-one, and he has converted. Boston trying to close this one out, take a 3-1 lead. Return to the floor. Tinsley loses it. McCarty comes up with the ball. An empty possession again for Indiana. From the Fleet Center here in Boston, John Saunders, Greg Anthony, and Doris Burke. The Celtics looking to 3-1 lead over Indiana in this Eastern Conference playoff. Paul Pierce with 30 points. 25 of those have come in the second half. Jermaine O'Neal gets bumped on his way through, and they're going to call the foul. Walter McCarty. It either had to be a foul or it was going to be a turnover the other way because that ball just went out of the hands of Jermaine O'Neal.
Well, he got the call. Now he's got to knock the free throws down, and again, they got to get stopped. 3 minutes left in this game. Plenty of time, but they can't afford to continue to let the Celtics get what they want offensively.
Jermaine O'Neal has yet to miss a free throw this afternoon.
Until you jinxed him there, John.
Had to say it, it's my job, but sorry about that, Jermaine. He had been 10 of 10.
Well, you look at the substitutions Isaiah's made. He's brought Al Harrington and Reggie Miller in. Again, guys who are more potent offensively, potentially. It's going to be huge to see if Reggie can maybe get going here and come up with one of those Reggie Miller-type moments down the stretch.
Well, I don't care that he's missed 9 shots over the 2 games here. You know that he's got a basket full of buckets still in that arm, so don't be surprised to see him light it up here late. Pierce, double team. Williams puts it on the floor and drives to the glass. O'Neal with the block, but nobody picked up Walter McCarty.
Well, that's the one problem you have when you go offense is the fact that you can't now defend it as well nor rebound it.
Celtics lead is at 10. McCarty a little overly aggressive on Harrington.
And this is the time where the Celtics, you got a 10-point lead. You don't want to stop the clock. You don't want to give the Pacers free throws. You're just prolonging the game.
Harrington at the line. Follow the NBA legends on NBA.com with the Love It Live playoff tour. And you want to talk about an NBA legend. How about that guy? Where Allen? 16 championships here for the Celtics. He's been involved in every one of them. Pierce now looking to use a little bit of clock. Antoine Walker bumps Harrington back and loses the ball. Double team. Oh, and Tony Delp is open for three. And how about that find by Antoine Walker?
That was a great pass. You know, a calculated risk there by Reggie Miller going for the double team when he didn't necessarily need it. And that just might about iced it right there for the Celtics.
And for Delp, those are his first points of the second half. And then he comes up with a swat from behind.
I tell you, you can see the frustration on Jermaine O'Neal's face. His team has just not really responded today the way you would have expected them to, being down 2-1 on the road.
I mean, there's one man open on the floor.
Yeah.
And he found it.
Yeah, he did. And again, you know, we talk about the fact that the Celtics, even though they still put up a lot of threes, they took a much higher quality of three in this game and in this series than they did throughout the course of the regular season. And they didn't have their entire game revolve around the threes. You know, they kind of played the game and allowed the threes to come.
They did a better job of it in the second half alone. Tinsley goes after the ball and gets a timeout. Jamal Tinsley has not quit. Down by 11 with under 2 to go. Boston hoping to go up 3-1.
Delivery available. Call now.
Feels Mercer on his back. Into the paint. Fade away. Good.
There's no answer for that. Nope. That was just a beautiful move. Took his time, waited, and got exactly what he wanted. Just a great play by our player in Paul Pierce.
Tinsley gets an easy finger roll. Tinsley with 7 points. Mercer steps out on Pierce, then a double team. McCarty to Delp. And they beat the pressure easily, and Delp, whoop. He greased up the basketball there for a second. Pierce wants everybody to calm down.
And he's going to be Paul's going to be a lot more confident with Mercer on him as opposed to Artest because he knows he can get his shot off.
And then Mercer a little aggressive with the hands. Paul Pierce is going to step up.
You know, we haven't talked about it a lot, but what about the job that Jim O'Brien's done as coach of this team and preparing them for this series? You know, again, he had time to break down the Pacers. He knew what their tendencies were, and he has a type of team with the veterans that they know how important it is just to get Indiana out of their rhythm, not allow Indiana to just pound the ball continually inside. They've done a great job of that on the defensive end, and that's really where they've been able to go up in this series 3-1. It's what they've done defensively. You know, Indiana shot 44% during the regular season. They're shooting at a 40% clip in the playoffs. Again, and that's all because Jim O'Brien's done a hell of a job of preparing his team defensively for what they had to do.
Tinsley into a crowd, and it's not there. And we end up with the foul. Paul Pierce salutes the crowd as the Celtics are about to walk off with a 3-1 lead in this series with Indiana.
I tell you, we talked about this being a must-win for Indiana. Now they face nothing but elimination for the rest of their stay in the playoffs, and Conseco Fieldhouse is going to have to be a very, very welcoming sight for this team and they're going to need that crowd to be as fired up as the Celtics crowd was here at the Fleet Center. Brad Miller had a solid game overall, but again, just not enough in terms of the poise that you need in the playoffs for this Pacer team.
19 points for Tony Delk. That's a playoff career high. Reggie Miller trying to break the goose egg and does. And the crowd goes into Reggie, knowing that Reggie Miller just hit his first field goal of the series here in Boston.
I tell you, that could be a big play. Maybe not today, but to get him off the schneid and get him going again, it's going to be very important for Isaiah just to get this team to stay focused. You know, one game at a time. They can come back and get this game 6, or game 5, I should say. Puts the pressure on the Celtics to come back and hold court. You know, and Reggie hadn't really had a lot of opportunities today, unfortunately. But again, he's a guy who's very capable. If this team plays for him, gets him some opportunity.
Hey, when this thing goes back to Indiana, do not count Reggie Miller out. Tinsley dances his way, rolls it over the iron. And then the foul by Mercer on McCarty. A couple more Kentucky guys hook up. You know, to get back to Reggie Miller, you see the look on his face. And that is a guy who knows that this just hasn't been his week here in Boston. But go back home, and with his experience, if he can get the young guys to play with him, he's got a lot of basketball left in him in the playoffs.
Well, what's going to be important is, although he struggled in the 2 games here, it's going to be important for him to be a leader and to get these guys focused back on the job at hand, and that's to win a basketball game. And I think, again, this team respects the fact that he has been such a great player for so long. They are going to listen, but they're going to need that guy to step up and play, as well as the rest of you know, Al Harrington is going to have to play. Artest is going to have to step up and play. A lot of guys are going to have to make plays if they want to try to advance and get off this schneid here.
And again, the Indiana Pacers step up and commit the foul. 9-point game with 23 seconds left.
And again, they'll score 100 points. You know,
exactly.
I don't expect Paul to miss both of these.
Well, that's a great point you make, because in the 3 games they've won, they've put up 100 points on Indiana. And Indiana held teams to 93 points during the regular season. And they've given up 100 in the 3 wins.
And when you watch this game, it's more, I think, because of the offense of the Pacers that the Celtics are able to score this way, because, again, the Pacers don't get any offensive rebound. They force a lot of shots. They get out of sync, out of rhythm, and that allows Boston to get out in transition and get some of those shots and get to fall, and you get your rhythm, you get your flow, and then you look up and you're up 11 with 10 seconds to go.
Now, it's been an incredible second half by the Boston Celtics. They looked so out of it, and this guy especially only took 2 shots in the first quarter. No points. Since he's got 36, and 31 of those 36 have come in the second half.
Yeah, he's made up for lost time, hasn't he, in the second half?
I'd say so.
And again, a big key, he gets to the free throw line. He continually gets there. And again, that's a veteran player understands that. Hey, you're going to have times when the shot's not falling. You get a few free throws, you get your rhythm. Next thing you know, that basket starts to look bigger and bigger. And that's basically what happened for him in this second half.
And look at this. Celtics pressuring the basketball. They want this thing over with. Oh, make sure there can't be another foul at the end. Mercer does hit the final shot, but the Boston Celtics win it. And now have a 3-1 lead over Indiana. The LPGA is next after these messages for the Chick-fil-A Charity Championship. For Greg Anthony and Doris Burke and our entire ESPN crew, I'm John Saunders. Thanks for watching, and more basketball later on ESPN.